We had to do it. The Neffati brothers versus the Beast, Eddie Hall. So we watched this weekend. We didn't pay to watch it. We saw a video afterwards on YouTube. And never before have I wanted Eddie Hall to win so much in my life.
I know, honestly.
I mean, obviously I've competed against Eddie many times, an incredible athlete, but I've never seen two such annoying little as these two guys were.
No, Lottie. Right, so for those that haven't seen the fight, let's give a quick rundown of how it went.
I could do a rundown with some action figures.
No. So just to paint the picture first, though, these brothers, they're not trained fighters, are they? They are not professional fighters.
They didn't look like trained fighters.
No. They are 5'3" tall and they weigh about 63, 64 kilos. So they are very small people.
Smaller than you.
Yeah, like quite a lot shorter than me. Yeah.
And Eddie Hall weighed in at 166 kilos. He is 6'2", 6'3", and an extremely powerful man. However, 2 versus 1.
It doesn't matter though. I said this is kind of like an average man on the street who maybe doesn't even train, fighting off 2 small children. That's how it looked.
Look, it was really frustrating to watch at the start, and you could see the frustration on Eddie Hall's face as they're just kind of shouting abuse, like 2 yobs shouting abuse, but too scared to come and actually do anything. It was like 2 yappy kind of dogs that, you know, as soon as the big dog goes for them, they're just running away.
Well, so the first 2.5, wow, 2.5 rounds really, they were retreating the whole time, weren't they?
Yeah.
A couple of kicks that Eddie didn't even seem to notice, but...
I mean, Eddie did what he had to do, like trying to keep his back to the cage so that he can kind of visualise both sides. They were trying to come in and kick. And they got a couple of kicks in that didn't even seem to affect Eddie in the slightest.
Oh, no.
I think it maybe hurt them more than it hurt him.
Probably.
And then in the final round, one of them came charging into Eddie, just picks him up like a sack of potatoes, slams him down, tries to get on top of the other one. The other guy then comes back, and Eddie just connects with a brilliant shot. I mean, the guy came running onto it, to be fair.
Yeah.
But I've never cheered for Eddie as much as I have watching something. I'm going to be totally honest.
It was it was the most satisfying ending possibly to anything I've ever watched.
Yeah, because if that didn't happen, I think the ridicule that the fight would have got would have been really bad.
And it's already had its fair share of criticism. People saying, you know, don't disrespect our sport. Obviously, the sport being MMA. Like, it's not everyone's really happy.
I get that. I mean, this whole card was very, very interesting. They had like Ed Sheeran lookalikes. Very, very peculiar stuff. And if you are a diehard MMA fighter, MMA fan, it's probably not for you. It is what it says on the tin. It's a freak fight league.
Yeah.
However, there is now talk of Eddie Hall fighting Mariusz Pudzianowski. Yes. Now, this is a much more interesting fight for me. Obviously, Mariusz has been doing MMA for a good number of years now. Eddie has been training fighting for the last 4 years properly. Obviously, he did boxing. He's training with some very, very good fighters as well. So, you know, I think it's more even than people are kind of... I've seen some early comments saying, oh, Mariusz is going to destroy him. And I think Mariusz has to go in as the favourite into this.
I think that's fair.
The experience. But Mariusz is much older.
Yes.
Eddie Hall has the size and strength advantage. And Mariusz isn't like the best fighter on the planet. It's not like he's going against the, you know, a UFC champion or something. Yeah. So I think... I like that Eddie's kind of challenging himself. I think 2 former winners of World's Strongest Man, there is going to be appeal in that type of thing.
Yeah, and that's something I'd probably actually pay to watch.
I would. Like, I had no interest in paying to watch Eddie fight 2 midgets. Because...
God, the midgets.
They were 5'3". Compared to Eddie, it looked like, you know, 2 little kids that were kind of in there scrapping.
Do you know what? Like, when there's such a huge difference between strength, size, power, he may as well have been fighting 2 of me. Yeah. It wouldn't have made any difference. The outcome would have been exactly the same.
Yeah, it's completely different if you're against 2 Conor McGregors or something like that. Very, very different. But this was always, as long as he could get hold of them, it was always, and you know, you could see they didn't want to get close
and
to
it
him.
seemed the referees were telling them, no, you have to fight, because they literally spent the first two and a half rounds retreating with him trying to get to them. It's very frustrating.
The fact that Eddie and Marius could be fighting,
that would be much more interesting.
This is interesting, and I don't think anything's been confirmed yet, but there are talks going ahead, and I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in seeing that.
Yeah.
Maybe not the die-hard fighting fans.
No, but more so. So obviously this was Eddie's second fight, the first being a boxing match up against Thor Bjornsson, and we all know how that went. And it does seem like something that Eddie wants to stick with if he's called out Mariusz Pudzianowski. But it is interesting with Eddie because he's such an extreme example of a person in terms of size, power, etc. We're a strongman channel. I don't know that much about fighting weight classes, but there can't be that many people that you could realistically put Eddie up against.
Well, you get the heavyweights, and it literally is anything over that. Well, I mean, in the UFC, it's actually under 265 pounds that they have to make,
wow.
so he wouldn't be able to fight in something like that.
No.
But as a super heavyweight, you kind of, the weight limit is then, after a certain amount, it just doesn't matter.
Okay.
So obviously, you know, against a smaller person, that weight becomes an advantage. But once you start getting over 120 kilos, it's less so. The disparity is just not the same. But yeah, Marius versus Eddie Hall. 6 World's Strongest Man titles between them, countless world records, both incredible athletes. This one much more interesting. If you guys saw the fight on the weekend, let us know your thoughts on that, and as always, let us know your thoughts on Eddie versus Marius. Who do you think would win that fight? And don't forget, like, share and subscribe to the channel, and we'll catch you guys next time.